when Carolina quarterback Cam Newton took a condescending, disdainful tone last week in answering a perfectly legitimate question from a female reporter. Just about everyone, including ESPN's Jemele Hill, seemed to be fine with the decision by Dan Yogurt to drop him as a spokesman. Newton apologized soon after and called his words extremely degrading and disrespectful. "I'm a man who tries to be a positive role model to my community and tries to use my platform to inspire others. I take ownership to everything that comes with that. What I did was extremely unacceptable." Whether the apology was sincere or not, most people understood that Dan had hired Newton to be the face and a representative of their product, and as soon he said or did something to damage that brand and alienate possible customers, the company had the right to take action. Employers generally don't pay people to hurt their bottom line, at least not for long. So, it shouldn't have been a surprise to Hill or others when ESPN suspended her Monday, October 9 for 2 weeks after she tweeted suggestions that fans of the National Football League's Dallas Cowboys stop buying the franchise's merchandise and consider boycotting the team's advertisers. There's no excuse for Cam Newton mocking female reporter SC6. ESPN. Hill was responding to Cowboys owner Jerry Jones' statements about players who choose to kneel during the national anthem as part of protest against racial inequality, police brutality or other social issues. Jones said any Dallas player who is disrespectful to the flag during the pre-game ceremonies would be benched. "We know that there is a serious debate in this country about those issues, but there is no question in my mind that the National Football League and the Dallas Cowboys are going to stand up for the flag," he said. "So we're clear." The debate over the NFL players' protests has become more intense since President Donald Trump harshly criticized the practice at a September 22 campaign rally and challenged NFL owners to take action. No Cowboys player had participated in the protests before the edict came down from Jones, who is friends with Trump and also is one of the league's most proactive owners, including matters of marketing and generating revenues. Hill initially provides cogent analysis that Jones' comments had put his players in a difficult position to either risk being benched and eventually released or to be seen as sellouts. Hill said fans should resist putting pressure on the players and instead look at ways to impact the franchise economically. Cowboys have a huge national following. Lot of black-brown folks are Cowboys fans. What if they turned their backs on them, she says in one tweet. If the rationale behind JJ's stance is keeping the fanbase happy, make him see that he has underestimated how all of his fanbase feels, she says in another. And then finally, or how about not patronizing the advertisers who support the Cowboys? You can watch and do that, right? Given that ESPN pays the NFL almost $2 billion a year to air some of the league's games and hopes to earn that back by selling advertising, not just for the games, but for all the various shows that talk about the NFL, fantasy football and more. This is where Hill went too far. Although she threw in the caveat, "Just so we're clear, I'm not advocating of NFL boycott," she was on a path to suggesting something that clearly was not in the best financial interest of her employer. Yes, Hill has the First Amendment right to say what she wants, but she also has a contract she freely signed with ESPN in which she agrees to curb some of those rights in exchange for a paycheck. Both sides made promises. And this isn't the first time her employers believe that she violated that contract. In a statement announcing Hill's suspension, ESPN noted an incident last month in which the commentator apologized for using Twitter to express her belief that President Trump is a white supremacist and a bigot. A few days later, network president John Skipper issued a memo telling employees to avoid inflammatory comments on social media. ESPN fired broadcaster Curt Schilling last year after the former Red Sox pitcher shared a meme on Twitter that mocked transgender people. ESPN anchor Linda Cohn was reportedly warned by senior management after she complained on a radio show that the network had moved too far from covering sports and into talking about social cultural issues. That's how business works. Dan Yogurt decided that Cam Newton had become a negative distraction, and they cut ties. ESPN or Hill can decide whether they think their current relationship is mutually beneficial. Tim Morris is an opinions columnist at NOLA.com, the Times Picayune. He can be reached at morris@nola.com. Follow him on Twitter at TMORRIS504.